My 27-year-old brother, 34-year-old, and his fiancée, 31-year-old, are getting married soon. My husband and I got our invitation, all fine. However, I am having a problem with them. I am not a bridesmaid or in the bridal party because I have a baby and she is very young, 4 months now, and I was either pregnant or with a newborn during most of the wedding planning. So I am just a regular guest like everyone else, right? Well, my brother and his fiancée came over a few days after they sent the invitations because they wanted to talk to me. My future sister-in-law told me she has gotten a dress for me and she would like for me to wear it for their wedding. I was kind of like, okay, thanks. But why? You know? At first, she didn't want to tell me why they chose a dress for me, but finally she told me that she thinks I tend to draw too much attention to myself. Last year, our other brother got married, and my future sister-in-law thinks that she doesn't want to risk having me show up similarly to their wedding. By the way, I wasn't wearing an inappropriate dress or white or anything like that. I was wearing a normal formal dress. I was very confused by this, and I asked what she meant, because as I said, I know how to dress up for a wedding. I reassured her that she shouldn't worry about being outshined, because for starters, it's her wedding day, and everyone will be paying attention to the bride and groom. And secondly, I won't wear an inappropriate dress with too much cleavage or something. Her family is rather conservative, so I thought maybe she was more scared of her family's reactions. We discussed this for a while, and she told me that the problem is my weight. She is a little overweight, and I'm not. I have always had problems gaining weight, even while pregnant. So she feels insecure, and that's why she wants me to wear a dress that would cover me completely. This is where I think I might be in the wrong. I told her that her insecurities were not my problem, and that it was weird to ask me to wear a certain dress just because I'm skinnier than her. She told me that she knew I would have this reaction because supposedly I always want to be the focus of attention. She also said that my life has always been easier, and it's not fair that I want to steal her wedding day as well. I asked her if she was doing this with every other woman who was skinnier attending the wedding, and she said no. So I told her that's a shitty move. We argued, and then my husband and brother got in between us too, so they argued as well. And finally we kicked them out, but not before I told them to enjoy their damn day because I wasn't attending the wedding, for which they accused me of being a drama queen and wanting to embarrass them by not going. Well, I'm calmer now, and this has caused quite a fight in our family as well. I admit that I was tired and stressed that day because my baby had been sick the entire previous day and night. So, I don't know. Do you think I exaggerated here? Or were they truly rude to ask me something like this? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. If the situation had been reversed, and you had been asking her to wear something specific because of her weight, you would have been accused of fat shaming. It was very rude of them to ask what they did. I could understand if you had a habit of turning up to these kinds of events in a bikini, but you don't. You do dress appropriately, so it's all down to her jealousy. Comment 2. I saw at least one previous attempt to post this that got deleted, and Itia, because my unconfident, ugly, fat sister-in-law wants me, a hot, skinny girl with big breasts, to dress or act in a certain way due to insecurity, is a stereotype on am I the idiot at this point. If this is actually real, you know the answer. If this is probably fake, you know that you're the idiot for writing fiction. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been 3 months since the dress fiasco with my brother and his fiancée, and boy, do I have an update for you. After the big fight, things were icy for a while. My brother and I didn't talk for weeks, which was tough because we've always been close. He's the one who taught me how to ride a bike, and we used to team up for pranks on our older siblings. But this dress thing created a rift I wasn't sure we could mend. Then, out of the blue, my brother called. He sounded exhausted, like he'd been carrying the weight of the world. He apologized for the dress drama and admitted that his fiancée's insecurities had gotten the better of her. He confessed that he missed the way things were, especially our Sunday family dinners where I'd make my famous lasagna that he loved so much. I was still hurt, but I missed him too. So, we decided to meet up, just the two of us, at our old hangout spot where we used to go for ice cream as kids. It felt like a step back in time, and for a moment, the tension melted away. That's when he dropped a bombshell. He and his fiancée were going to therapy. He realized that their issues ran deeper than just a dress. It turned out that my future sister-in-law had been struggling with her self-esteem for years, ever since she was teased in high school for her weight. My brother was determined to support her through this, and he wanted me to understand where she was coming from. I was taken aback. I never knew about her past, and it made me see her in a different light. It was a reminder that everyone has their own battles. We talked for hours, and eventually we reached a compromise. They still wanted me to wear the dress they picked out, but they agreed to let me choose the accessories. I could add my own flair with jewelry and shoes, as long as the overall look was in line with their wedding theme. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a roller coaster of emotions. My husband was still miffed about the whole situation, but he agreed to stand by me. We both wanted to be there for my brother, even if it meant swallowing our pride. The wedding day arrived, and I put on the dress. It was actually quite beautiful, a deep emerald green that complemented my eyes. With my chosen accessories, I felt like myself again. But just when I thought we were in the clear, another confrontation happened. At the reception, my brother's fiancée's aunt made a snide comment about how I was trying to upstage the bride with my flashy earrings. My husband, who's never been one to hold his tongue, fired back, defending me. It could have turned into another huge fight, but my brother stepped in. He reminded everyone that the day was about love and family, not earrings or dresses. His fiancée took his hand, and together they diffused the situation. It was a moment of growth for them as a couple, and I felt a surge of pride for my brother. The rest of the night was a blur of dancing, laughter, and a few tears. My brother and his new wife looked genuinely happy, and I was glad I hadn't missed it. As the evening wound down, my brother pulled me aside. He hugged me tight and whispered a thank you in my ear. It wasn't just for wearing the dress. It was for being there, for being his sister. And just like that, the dress that had caused so much strife became a symbol of our family's ability to overcome obstacles. It wasn't easy, and feelings were still a bit tender, but we were finding our way back to each other. So that's where we are now. The wedding is over, and life is slowly returning to normal. My baby is growing fast, and my husband and I are navigating the waters of parenthood together. As for my brother and his wife, they're working on their issues, and I'm cautiously optimistic about our future as a family. My sister's mad I make more at Dad's company, so she demands equal pay, but when offered the same job, she says no, and now she's silent, treating Dad. But oh boy, wait till she hears my plan. My two oldest kids are in college and working part-time to earn spending money. They live at home, and we pay for their tuition, cars, insurance, basically everything except their spending money. I have my own small construction company and run a crew of about 15 men, including my son. Lately, we've been doing mostly roofing jobs. My son's job is to help take off the old shingles, pick up any shingles that miss the dumpster, and help prep the roof. Once the installation starts, he delivers a steady stream of shingles, nails, and other materials to the nailers. It's a dangerous and hard job, so I pay him about $25 per hour. My daughter works as a cashier, but most of the time she's standing at the self-checkout lanes and rarely behind the register. She's paid about $15 per hour. Last weekend, my son bought his girlfriend a new iPhone for Valentine's and was talking about the restaurant he's going to take her. Since it's an expensive phone and restaurant, my daughter asked where he's getting the money. That led to how much I'm paying him, and she got mad. He's been working with me for about 4 months, but she's never shown any interest in what we do or ask anything about his job or pay, so it came as a surprise to her. The short version of a week-long argument in our house is that she thinks it's unfair. He's making so much more than she is. I offered her the same hourly wage if she wants to join her brother on the roof, but she went once and didn't finish out the day. Instead, she wants us to make up the difference between their paychecks. My wife thinks I should come up with an easier job, like just let her pick up the shingles that miss the dumpsters. I said that's an easy job, and I'm not paying her $25 per hour for a minimum wage job. I told her that she can make as much as her brother, but she doesn't want to carry heavy and dirty shingles. Now both women are giving me the silent treatment. Last night, when my wife went so far as to eat dinner with our daughter before my son and I got home at 6, and later went to bed without saying a word to me all night. Update. Hi, and thank you for reading my post and giving me your opinions. I'll answer some common questions. My wife doesn't work. She stays at home and takes care of our younger kids. I didn't make it clear, but our daughter works for a grocery store, not for me. I have a very small company. With 15 men, I have 2 crews on large jobs, or 3 on smaller jobs. There's no bookkeeping or other positions she can do, because I do those on the weekends. There's only the construction positions. None of our kids have any interest in taking over my company, and it'll close when I retire. Our son just got accepted into dental school, and our daughter is almost done with her education degree. Our younger kids have their own dreams. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. So in other words, she wants to be paid the same to do less. No, that is not how the real world works. You do the same work for the same pay. What she's asking is basically, I'm a woman, I get equal pay, without the equal work part that a lot of women fought for. Giving you the silent treatment like that is also pretty nasty. That's considered abuse by most modern standards for marriages, and manipulation when outside of a marriage. Comment 2. Not the idiot. This is a hill to die on, OP. You're paying your son a fair wage for the job he is doing. Your daughter is receiving a fair wage for hers. She needs to learn that she can't live off of handouts all her life, and that if she wants to be paid, then she needs to get a different job. She's an adult now, and has to find her own way to get more money. Seriously, don't back down on this. Now, for the update. Hey everyone. Back with an update on the family drama that unfolded last month. You wouldn't believe the twists and turns we've had since then. So, after the whole argument about pay equality between my son and daughter, things were pretty tense at home. My wife was still giving me the cold shoulder, and my daughter was fuming about the whole situation. But then, something unexpected happened. My son, who's been working with me on the roofing jobs, came to me with a suggestion. He'd been saving up from his paychecks, not just for his girlfriend's iPhone, but also for something else. He wanted to start a small side business related to dental supplies, given his acceptance into dental school. He proposed that his sister could help him with the administrative side of things, and he'd pay her from the business earnings. I was impressed by his initiative and agreed to help him set it up. Meanwhile, my daughter was still working at the grocery store, but she started to take an interest in her brother's new venture. She saw it as an opportunity to earn more and learn some business skills. They started working together on the weekends, and to my surprise, they were a great team. My son's business idea took off faster than any of us expected, and my daughter was instrumental in managing the orders and customer service. As for my wife, she was initially skeptical about the whole side business thing. But when she saw how well our kids were working together and the extra money it was bringing in, she started to come around. She even started helping out with some of the logistics, using her organizational skills to streamline their processes. The biggest shock came when my daughter approached me one day, out of the blue, and asked if she could try working on the roofing job again. She said she wanted to understand what her brother's work was like and contribute to the family business. I was taken aback, but agreed. This time, she stuck it out for the whole day, and although it was tough, she gained a new respect for the hard work her brother put in. The dynamic at home started to change after that. My wife and daughter ended their silent treatment, and we all started having dinner together again. The conversations at the table were lively, with my son and daughter sharing their business successes and challenges. But wait, there's more. My daughter's experience on the roof gave her an idea for her education degree. She decided to develop a program for high school students to learn about different trades and careers, including construction. She pitched it to her college, and they loved it. They're now looking to implement it as part of their career services. As for my son's side business, it's been doing so well that he's considering expanding it. He's even talking about hiring a couple of part-timers to help out. And guess who's been giving him advice on managing a growing team? That's right, me. It's been a great way for us to bond and for him to learn more about running a business. In the end, what started as a family conflict turned into a period of growth for all of us. My son and daughter are closer than ever, working together on their business. My wife is happy to see the family working together harmoniously, and I'm proud to see my kids taking initiative and supporting each other. Cousin steals my pricey bike and loses it, so I threaten to call cops. But when I learn Uncle's been pawning Brad's future, I drop charges, and they scramble to pay me back. I, 31-year-old male, own an expensive road bike. It's my preferred mode of travel, so it was worth it to me to spend the extra $200,000. Or rather, I owned. Last week, my bike was stolen. Fortunately, my place's security cameras caught the thief. Unfortunately, the thief was my idiot cousin Brad, who is 15 years old. But freaking get this. By the time I realized the bike was gone, reported the theft to Brad's parents, and his parents confronted him, the bike was somehow stolen off Brad. The mother fricker lives just 10 minutes from me. What are the freaking chances? I asked Brad's parents just to reimburse me the cost of the bike, and I'll just forget it happened. I thought this was a reasonable ask because Brad's parents are very rich. My uncle, who is in his 50s, is the CFO at a decently sized company. It would not surprise me if he makes around $300,000 per year, if not more. So the price of my bike should be an absolute non-issue. Or so I freaking thought. Apparently, Brad's family has been having financial issues lately. My uncle was made redundant in 2023 and has since developed a crippling alcohol and gambling addiction. They're heavily in debt and are burning through their savings and assets just to keep their mortgage. Brad's mom believes the theft was Brad's way of acting out, having had to adjust to his new lifestyle. Okay, but you know what? I don't care. That may sound harsh, but Brad and his parents have always acted as if they were better than the rest of the family. I grew up listening to my uncle belittle my father and mother for their working-class jobs. So I have exactly zero sympathy for my uncle. I dealt my uncle an ultimatum. He either reimburses me for my bike in full, or I file an insurance claim, which will require that I report that the bike was stolen to the police, handing over all evidence I have of the theft in the process. I gave him until Sunday midnight to pay me, which was an hour ago. He has not paid. So the first thing I'll be doing tomorrow is reporting my cousin to the police. Am I the jerk? Frequently asked questions. Do I actually believe my cousin had the bike stolen off him? Like many of you, I suspect Brad sold the bike. But I have no proof, so I didn't bother pursuing that line of thought. My suspicion is that Brad sold the bike for cents on the dollar. Then when he, or his parents, realized how expensive the bike is, they falsified a narrative, hoping I'd give them a break. What is the value of the bike? I am unsure of its current value, but I bought the bike in 2022 for $10,400 Australian dollars. Do I need the bike? No. I have a car in the meantime, and I can afford a replacement bike. But, in my opinion, that's not a relevant consideration to my decision. Why should I punish myself just because I am responsible with my life and finances? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. You gave them the option to escape this. They could have tried to negotiate a payment plan or sell something. Instead, they ignored you, thinking you were bluffing. You deserve compensation, and your insurance will get it for you. The consequences are on their heads. I wouldn't be surprised if Brad sold the stolen bike. That seems more likely than it being coincidentally stolen again straight after. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Kinda suspicious it was stolen 10 minutes after it was stolen from you. They probably sold it. Either they reimburse you for the full cost or make a report. If it's his first time, he might only get community service or probation and still have to pay restitution, depending on the location. It's unlikely he will get a decade in prison or be charged as an adult. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 2 weeks since I last posted about my stolen bike and my cousin Brad's involvement. You guys wanted an update, so here it is. After I gave my uncle the ultimatum, I went ahead and reported the theft to the police the next day. I handed over the security footage and everything. The cops were pretty interested, especially since the bike was worth a lot. They said they'd look into it and get back to me. Now, remember how I mentioned Brad's parents were having money troubles? Well, turns out it was way worse than I thought. My uncle had been hiding the full extent of their financial problems. After I reported the theft, Brad's mom came over crying and told me they were on the brink of losing their house. She begged me to drop the charges, saying Brad was just trying to help out but didn't realize how much trouble he'd cause. I felt a bit bad for them, but I was still angry. I mean, it was my bike, and Brad had to learn his lesson. But then, the plot thickened. Brad's mom confessed that my uncle had been secretly taking loans under Brad's name. He'd ruined his own credit and started using Brad's. That's why Brad stole the bike. He was desperate to fix things before his credit was shot too. I was shocked. I knew my uncle had problems, but I never thought he'd stoop so low. Brad's mom was a mess, and she told me they were trying to get my uncle into rehab for his addictions. A few days later, the police called me. They'd found my bike. It was at a pawn shop across town. The shop owner said a kid matching Brad's description had sold it to him for way less than it was worth. The cops were pressing charges against Brad for the theft, but now I had a decision to make. I went to see Brad. He looked so small and scared. He told me he was sorry and that he just wanted to help his family. He didn't know what else to do. I could see he was telling the truth. He wasn't the cocky kid I remembered. He was just a scared boy in over his head. I thought about my uncle and how he'd always looked down on my family. I remembered the times he'd made snide remarks about my dad's job at the factory or my mom's shifts at the diner. But looking at Brad, I realized he was just a victim in all of this too. So, I made a tough call. I told the police I wanted to drop the charges. I figured Brad had suffered enough with everything going on at home. The cops warned me that without my testimony, the case would be weak, but I was okay with that. Brad's parents sold their car and some other stuff to pay me back for the bike. It wasn't the full amount, but it was enough to get a decent second-hand replacement. My uncle is now in rehab, and Brad's mom is working 2 jobs to keep things afloat. As for me, I've got my bike back, but it's not the same. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of this whole mess. I'm trying to sell it now, hoping to get something that doesn't have such a complicated history. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, and I'm just trying to move on. Brad's been coming over to help me with some house projects as a way to make amends. He's actually a good kid when he's not under so much pressure. We're getting along better now, and I'm teaching him a bit about bikes and responsibility. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.